with some more real anthroposophy. Alright. Okay. The title of this segment is America, the Life of Rights and the Shadow. There will be, of course, several videos, as is the way that it's necessary to do things, because YouTube only lets me put up about 10 minutes of stuff, and anyway, now I want to give a little background story, because I think it's important sometimes when we're dealing with things with anthroposophy and also with the Anthroposophical Society that we acknowledge some history. The thing that prompted this talk, by the way, was some thinking that I got into because I'm a member of the social science section in America, and received a message that the section was going to be able to make a presentation in Chicago in October 2010, I think on Saturday night, on the life of rights. And there was some excitement apparently among members of the section, and I wrote a note to the individual who's responsible for sending out these messages that I thought it was kind of funny that, you know, in all likelihood I probably know more about the life of rights than anybody in the section in America, and probably anybody in the world in the Anthroposophical Society. Say probably, I'm not bragging. You just have to look at my work. Nobody looks at my work, so nobody understands stuff, but that's partly why we're here, you know. I have said I'm going to do better. I'm capable of doing better, and I'm going to demonstrate these capacities. But in any event, because they were going to do this, I got to thinking, well, what would I present on if I was actually invited to go to this conference and participate, maybe give a lecture or something on the Saturday night of the 2010 Annual General Meeting in Chicago. And that lecture I would give would be America, the Life of Rights and the Shadow. Now, I mentioned a little bit ago the importance of going back a little bit in history, okay? And the reason for that is because this whole thing reminded me of something that I experienced in 2004 with regard to an annual general meeting in America in Detroit. Now, prior to that meeting happening, I was living in Prescott, Arizona, and my partner and my partner at that time, were very much interested in anthroposophy and also in questions of America. She had been deeply involved in politics all that summer, 2004. In fact, she'd been a volunteer at the local Democratic headquarters in Prescott, and when the people, for reasons, and when the Democrats, for reasons of their own political thing, took the professional that had been working there out of that arena in Prescott and transferred her to New Mexico because they thought that, correctly, that Arizona would not end up voting for Kerry. The upshot was that they asked her to run the program in Prescott because she had been the dominant volunteer, and of course she's an intelligent and passionate woman, and she did that. I didn't see much of her for quite a while. She was working 12, 15 hours a day. And as the annual general meeting had been announced and people were thinking about going to Detroit over the course of the summer, we became aware that a couple of friends of ours, a guy by the name of Bob Berman and another guy by the name of Stephen Clark, were going to be presenting at the annual general meeting in Detroit, and the theme was going to be on America. In addition to that, there was a fellow who, by the name of John Sterling Walker, who was also going to present, and some other people. And Walker's not somebody that I particularly liked. I'd had some encounters with him over the internet and was kind of doubtful about certain things about him. But in any event, he became an issue as the lead up to the annual general meeting went on. And so even though my partner and I had made reservations for a motel and purchased airplane tickets, you know, 2 or 3 months in advance of the annual general meeting, in order to go see our friends and to hear a discussion for the first time within the anthroposophical movement in America, centered on America. Good grief, this should have been going on all along, but that's one of the manifestations of the effect of the shadow in America, is to get anthroposophists to do absolutely the wrong thing as much as possible. In any event, there was some antipathy among certain people within the society against Mr. Walker. And I'm not going to go into the rumors I heard about it in detail, just to say that he's the kind of guy that would be common with. He kind of irritates people. He irritates me, so I know about being irritated by him. Anyway, 30 days out of the annual general meeting, the program, I think, which was being managed by a very deep anthroposophist in America by the name of Robert Karp, was putting it together, and he was probably going to present some stuff too. But anyway, the whole thing went belly up. The America program got axed. And so when my partner and I showed up in Detroit, well, we knew about this in advance because it was announced that it was going to be a different program. We were very disappointed, you know. And it's important to sort of appreciate the nuances of the situation, because this annual general meeting, interestingly enough, occurred on the weekend following the general presidential election in the United States, in which Bush was elected for a second term and Kerry was defeated. So lots of people had feelings about that, and it would have been a very interesting program if America had been the subject of discussion. I was a little bit miffed that I wasn't invited to make presentations, but I'd already turned myself into a controversial figure, so, you know, because of my criticism of things in the Anthroposophical Society. So it was understandable why maybe I, you know, I wouldn't be allowed to talk. And in any event, we showed up, and there was a talk on a Friday evening, and then a gathering for the general meeting in the morning. And we were asked to, the night before, to think deeply on what we wanted and to present stuff in the morning to the gathering, to have a sharing, and people did different stuff. And I got up and I walked down there, and I was very nervous because I generally don't speak in public, and also because I was going to say something controversial. But basically what I said was I wanted people to talk about the elephant in the room, which was the conference that people had anticipated had been canceled. And people started yelling at me from the audience about, sit down, we want to just go on with other stuff. And I said, look, I can't in good conscience pretend this didn't happen. I don't know about the rest of you, but it did happen, and I can't be here in this meeting and not have some conversation about the fact that we didn't end up talking about America. We have this whole other program that came in the last 30 days. And promises were made to me that we would, in fact, talk about stuff. Well, we didn't. So I'll have to pause now and come back and tell you more of this story.